if you want.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are live. Awesome. Well, welcome to another camp classroom online with South Mountain YMCA. My name is Antonio. I'm the Youth and Family Director here on the mountain. And today we're going to be talking about some knots. All right. So like we said yesterday and the other day, some things you might need to follow along here would be a handy dandy bit of string or rope or 550 cord, but you could also just use your shoelaces. I went and found some spare shoelaces I had down at the house and got all set up to start teaching some fun knots. Alright, now knots are used for all sorts of things here at camp as well as at home and out and about, whether it's tying our shoes, hence the shoelaces, or here at camp maybe for rock climbing or sailing or all sorts of other adventurous things. As a resource for today, and I'm going to pull it up so we can follow along, there's actually a digital knot tying website that you can utilize. Let's see if we can find it again. That will actually take you through an animated knots. It's called Animated Knots. Alright, you can find it at animatedknots.com. And they'll even ask you to sign up for notifications where they'll give you the knot of the day. Which is always fun just to kind of test out your knowledge and learn added things. Not a sponsor, but you never know. Maybe they'll like what they see. Alright, so on Animated Knots, we're going to start out, just for today's purposes, we're going to go to Household Knots at animatedknots.com. And in Household Knots, there's all sorts of handy things that you could use. Now, some of these you might look at and be like, when am I going to use a barrel hitch? Which a barrel hitch is for making a nice little handle for a bucket or a bowl. But you just never know. So it's always good to kind of play around and see what's out there. But we're not going to start with the barrel hitch. There's shoelaces, all sorts of fun that you can get into. Alright, but they also have search and rescue knots, arborist knots, horse and farm knots. So if you have any curiosities ever, all that you could ever want and more. Alright. To teach knots, whenever I teach it to kids, I always like to, sometimes I'll cheat, I'll use a little bit of dowel rod. And this is something that you also might have just standardly in your house. A little bit of dowel rod for the curtains or anything like that. Alright, but with a dowel rod, it just kind of helps present the knot so you guys can look at it a little better. We'll put that away so I can see. You guys a little better. Alright. Rebecca, please don't tie your children to chairs. No, you can use these knots for all sorts of things. So a basic starter knot that you can use is some basic terminologies. You want to get a bite. Alright, and whether it's rope or shoelace or string or hemp or 550 cord or whatever you might be using, a bite of rope is just something as simple as that. Alright, it's just a little loop of rope. Nothing's tied yet. It's just something for us to work with. Now you can do all sorts. You want me to tilt the camera down so you can see a little better? Oh, it might fall off. Alright. Allie's getting really picky about how we tilt the camera. Call out. Alright, so you want to get a bite of rope. Alright, that way everyone can see it. Alright, and so a basic knot that you might want to do with a bite of rope that we do a lot here at camp, okay, is actually a figure 8 or an 8. Alright, and so with that bite of rope, you got it held up kind of like you're making a P. Alright, you're going to bring it around behind. Alright, or towards you if you're looking from my perspective. But from your perspective, it's actually behind, alright, the other ropes. Okay? And then bring it back around the other side. Alright, so you get that kind of configuration. Alright, and then bring her back up and loop it through. And this is a double-backed 8. Okay? An 8, or a regular 8, would just be one part of this that you would have to feed back through. So this makes a nice little 8. All right, you always want to look at your knots. I'll try to hold it up to the camera so you guys can see here. All right, you want to make it so that they're nice and clean looking. Okay, whenever you tie a knot, especially if it's for climbing or something that you really don't want to get loose, an old friend of mine used to always tell me a neat knot need not be knotted. Yes, I have to close my eyes to remember that. All right, so a neat knot need not be knotted. So you always want to go back and check your knots and make sure they're nice and cleaned up. And you could use this double back figure eight for a couple different reasons. It's actually commonly used in rock climbing, all right, by a lot of people, as well as just for a tie off so you can have a bite of rope to clip something onto. But some people, my personal favorite, especially with string of this size, or shoelace I should say, is using it to start off a cobra stitch, or what's more commonly known as a survival bracelet. Okay, and the cobra stitch is something that maybe we'll go into in another video on another day, but making a double back figured eight like this is definitely a nice. Oh, you like good old Mike Archer commenting about the little saying. All right, but it's always a good startup, especially if you're getting into friendship bracelets or survival bracelets, or maybe you just need something to tie off on to make a handle. All right, or a step or anything like that. So it's got a lot of application. All right, but also most commonly, at least in what I've seen, we use it a lot for rock climbing because it's just one of the strongest knots you can make. Apart from going up a level, you can make a Super 8, all right, which is more commonly required in rock climbing nowadays, but the standard double back 8 is going to do a good job for you. All right, and it's not the easiest to untie. A good way to untie a knot, here's a good lesson for today's class, all right? Whenever you want to untie a knot that's been tightened down really good, all right, if you can get your hands on it, you want to do what's called breaking the knot, where you bend it. You see how I'm holding on at each end of it? And it's even easier, when it's a bigger knot or a bigger version of it, which I actually happen to have over here, so you can see it a little better. So that's the double back figure eight that we were talking about, okay? Where you grab each side of the knot, you bend it, you work it, and apply it like that, and it loosens it up so that you can untie it as needed. All right. I brought my cheat so I could show you guys on a grander scale. But on that, you just do want to loosen the knot. All right, and then you should help you break the knot so you can untie it. All right. We'll see. Sometimes it's harder the smaller it is, I find, because it will make you struggle bust. But without fail, it loosened up and it came undone. Too easy. All right. So one last time going through that figure eight. All right. You want to make yourself find about the middle of the rope or wherever on the rope or line or wire or cord that you want to tie it. Find yourself a bite. Make a P. Bring that P down. Bring them around. Bring them through and back up. And you're going to have yourself a knot. And then, like we said before, you want to dress up your knot because a knot need not be knotted. Try saying that 10 times fast. That's a fun activity for the night around the dinner table. A knot need not be knotted. But you can't do it. We'll see. Alright. But dress your knot, make it nice and clean and happy looking, and you got yourself a double back figure eight. Alright. Now, another handy knot that I like to use or I like to teach people. Alright. So everyone knows you got your standard cross. Okay, your standard cross knot, which is just when you're tying your shoes, you're starting it up, you got your two bunny ears, right? You throw it over, you bring it down around town, make a nice knot like that. Okay, so how do we make that into a square knot? All right, well, if I wait long enough, all right, get yourself all set up. All right, so you got your standard knot. So what you want to do is bring this guy down just like that. All right, it's going to make that square knot. Now, square knot is pretty handy, and I'll show you guys the bigger one. Like I said, I got my little cheat sheet so everyone can see on my cheat set. All right. So a square knot, and we got the two different colors so you can see the two different lines. Square knot is a very strong knot. All right. The reason it's called a square knot is because it has kind of that square shape to it. Okay. Some people call it a box knot. All right. But you got your square box knot. All right. The square box knot is pretty handy because it's pretty strong. And you can do these quick tie-offs on it. All right. So you see at the ends here. All right. I've tied off with what some people call a courtesy knot or a noose. All right. Or the basic start to a first ring on a noose. All right. But we like to call it a courtesy knot. All right. That way it locks it down. So these two ropes have come together and makes a stronger rope. All right. Or a longer rope. You're getting an extension done. So it gives you options. All right. And these are just some basic knots that we use around camp. Maybe you use it over with Dale in the maintenance for fixing things up, or we use it over at the rock climbing for different aspects and parts of the course. And we definitely use some of these, the square knot, in sailing. Whether you're tying something down or hitching something down. The last thing we'll go into hitching real quick. I'll keep my eye out because allegedly Becky's going to be busting in at some point. Tell you guys about tomorrow. All right, but we want to go ahead and talk about hitches. Okay, I like to talk about hitches at least because I think that's pretty handy knot that we use, but you can use just about anywhere. Okay, so how this works out? Again, you want to make that bite of rope that we talked about earlier. And use a bite of rope for a lot of things, a lot of different notches and hitches, okay? And with this, we're actually going to go ahead and take that bite, we're going to cross it over so you got this weird little, you got this eye that you can look through. And what we're going to do is, this is a good way to make a handle on a rope. There's a lot of different names for a lot of different knots and hitches, so I try not to label things too much because nobody likes getting labeled, all right? So you got yourself your rope. Whoop. Sometimes we make mistakes, that's okay. So you got yourself your rope, you go ahead for a twist, okay? We still got that bite in the hand, okay? And then with that twist, you've created two eyes, all right? Some people call this the mask. I can see you, all right? So you take that, you bend it down. I'll try to hold it up so you guys can see it. So now you got this big loop-de-loop. Now there's a couple things you can do with this. You can put a stick in there, and you can tighten things down. But that's just going to give you the spiral effect, okay? It's not really a full hitch like that. But if I take that bite and I make that my one twist, okay? Take my one twist and I bend it over, bring it down, make the two eyes. I pop it down through the hole. I got this pretzel kind of look going on. It might be hard for you guys to see. I'm trying my best. You got this little pretzel look. You pull him through. So you got this pretzel, kind of looks like a sheep head almost. All right, you pull it through to make this little handle, and you tighten and dress everything up because again, not need not be knotted. Dress everything up, and get yourself a pretty nice little handle for holding on to. And it looks like we have a special guest to end out our time. Again, sorry for the technical issues we had at the beginning. Sometimes, you run into all sorts of back and forths. But tomorrow, join Becky for a half hour.
Hi, guys.
Learning about our reptiles and turtles here at camp. Isn't that right, Shadow? That's right. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. And again, thank you for joining us with our live camp classroom from Southbound YMCA. Goodbye.